I'm John Sargent, and it's December 2021. We're in San Francisco at the Fairmont Hotel at the California Alarm Association.
I'm Charlie Darsch with the Security Museum.
Nathan Rousted from Wayne Alarm Systems.
And I'm Ralph Sevenor from Wayne Alarm Systems and the Security Museum. We're delighted to have you here. We've been collecting artifacts for over 25 years, and we saw the need to really put all the people together that have created such a great industry. A lot to learn in this. Thank you very much for attending, and we look forward to your comments in the future as well. Thank you.
So I'm John Sargent here with Charlie Darsch, and we're both here to talk with Bob Ricucci with Advanced Security Technologies. And Bob, let's start at the beginning. Tell us what got you into this industry altogether.
Well, I would love to weave an exciting yarn of odyssey, but the reality is we were looking for something new. I was about 19 years old. I was in college, but I was also working with my dad in Northern California, and he had recently left the trucking industry, and we were looking for the next real trend that was going to be important for the societal trends and culture coming forward. And security was an obvious choice. We happened to stumble on this little company that was making wireless transmitters back when they were little buttons and things like that would shut the door and so forth. And we became intrigued. And one thing led to another. We ended up bringing on guards, which we realized that technology is a better way to go. So we kind of moved away from there into remote video. But that was kind of the progress that we made, was from the wireless into a more robust security offering.
What year was that?
1980. Yeah, 1980. I was a freshman at University of Pacific in Northern California, Stockton. Mm-hmm. And he identified, credit goes to him, that this was a place you want to be for the next few decades. And he wasn't wrong. We just had to figure out how to do it. And originally it was just, the technology was just now emerging. And the guard services were limited, so we evolved along with the industry from residential only to commercial and residential to cameras and access control and all the other things now to what now we present at Advanced Security is a total solutions concept for fire, life, safety, and security. Mm-hmm. In other words, we want to be the one place they go for all of their needs in that order.
Yeah, so if I could ask you to give us a little flashback before then, when you were young. What were your thoughts? Where were you going to go in your life?
I wanted to be a neurosurgeon or a marine biologist.
That's a different lifestyle.
Yeah. So I found out I get seasick, so that kind of put a damper on the marine biology career. And then my dad, and I wanted to work together because that had always been a dream of ours. And so we did work together for a while, and then I left to pursue other pursuits. And years later, in 2000, he came to work for me at PSI, and we worked together for the next 21 years until his passing.
Mm. Okay.
So we got into it completely by accident, but once you're in, it's like The Godfather. Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
Yeah.
When did you change the name?
I was the president of PSI.
Right.
And when PSI sold, I stayed on for a little while, and they were going a direction I wasn't really effective with. So, as a matter of fact, Mike Matson, I'm sure you all know,
sure.
Said to me, you know what? Every day that you put off starting your own company is a day you're going to regret. And he reminds me of that every time I see him, by the way. I think he's looking for a commission or something. But it became clear that it was an opportunity for me to build on my vision with my great teammates from PSI that came with us. And we collectively put together this program of a total solutions concept in the commercial world with the ability to deal with key accounts especially. 85% of our customers are repeat business or multiple site, which is by design. And we identified the opportunities there. If you clear away all the other garbage that we were dealing with at the corporate level and just focus on the customer. And that's really what we did. And it was the magic solution, because if you're starting with the customer and you know what you're doing with the business, which I was blessed with great partners, you can grow and you can build.
And again, the year was?
That was 2000. Actually, 2000 was when I went to PSI. 2005 is when I started AST. July 5th, 2005.
Okay.
How about competition against you and your company and all of that? What was that like way back then?
Back in the day, it was very sporadic because there were so many different visions of what the industry was. It was really not sure who it was going to be when it grew up back in the 80s and 90s and even the early 2000s. But so the competition was more conceptual, that we all have the same kinds of offerings, who could do them better or at a better value, which is more how it is now. But back in those days, there were so many ways to get there that you really had to understand your customer. And that, I think, was the base, the foundation for how we conduct ourselves at AST is start first with a comprehensive understanding of what the customer needs and wants. And then you can build based on, again, I've been blessed with great teammates and great associates in the industry, you guys included, that have made me a lot smarter than I really am, and a lot more, we've enjoyed a lot more success than we would have on our own.
Is that how you learned of the alarm industry? How did you get the background where you are today?
Honestly, my dad decided that alarm industry was the future. I don't know where it came from or why, but he was right.
That was roughly in that same...
Yeah, I was 18 years old. That was 41 years ago. And we kind of stumbled into it and had different permutations of it and evolved eventually into PSI and AST.
Is there, because you've got a lot of time in the business, a particular humorous experience that you've had in the industry that you'd like to, you're willing to talk about?
I'm certainly happy to do that. The one that comes to mind for me is early on we wanted to get out of the guard business and get more into remote video. Well, as you can imagine, back in the robot slow scan, 5-minute refreshes and so forth, we found microwave line of sight with a big tower was the best way to go in our marketplace in Stockton. So we were very successful with that concept, but there were no microwave dishes for our world. So this one was made, it was about that big, and it was made in a garage. And we had about a 30-foot high building that we were in. There was a 90-foot tower on top of that. I'm 19 years old, so naturally I'm gonna live forever. I'm invulnerable, right? No guide wire, don't tell OSHA, by the way. No guide wires, no ropes, nothing. Strap the thing on my back, climb up the thing, and I'm afraid of heights on top of it. My wife thinks it's hilarious. So I climb all the way to the top, then I tie myself off. I install the dish, and there's another dish back at the account. And we literally did the old rabbit ears on the TV thing. Sure. Better or worse, better or worse, better or worse. And that's how we dialed in the remote video. And it was 30 frames a second, slick as nails, but until we got the cellular phones and so forth, that was how we did it. Wow. So I managed to survive that. There's one picture somewhere I can't find of me way up on top there. But that's the only evidence that exists of that OSHA violation.
Yeah.
So that was your communication work.
That was my baptism of fire into the security industry at 19.
Yeah. Where do you think the industry, looking at it today, where has this industry kind of gone astray?
I think that's a very good question. I'll be as positive as I can. I think the industry lacks professional management acumen. I think we tend to cannibalize ourselves. And we sometimes forget that a rising tide floats all boats. Mm-hmm. And everyone's success derives from individual successes. So I think we don't communicate as effectively that message to our clients. And beyond associations like this, which are so important, we don't communicate individually as dealers as well as effectively as we should. Because, they used to ask me about competition in California, and I would get a phone book back when they had them, and I would put it on the table and say, you're gonna tell me that you can't find enough business in there, that you can't stumble over somebody else? Yeah. So I think what happens is we don't use good business practices, key processes, and so forth to develop our business. And when you don't do that, you're reactive. And when you're reactive, it's very difficult to be proactive on behalf of your client. That's what I would like to see change. I would like to see more key processes, more deliberate management more shared ideas, which is why organizations like the CAA are so valuable, because it provides a platform to do that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure, absolutely. I was going to say, through the association, this is where it really does come to be, and make it happen.
There's a question that I was asked, what would I do differently, or what would I tell myself at 20?
Mm-hmm.
As far as the industry goes, I would say, generally I would say, know what you do well and do it well. And don't try to be all things to all people. But I would also say I regret not being more active earlier in the associations, because there's tremendous value there.
Yeah.
And I've been lucky to be brought in and to be able to enjoy that, sitting with giants that frankly you've forgotten more than I know about the industry, and that's great value. I just came to it a little later than I would have if I had been able to advise myself earlier.
Maybe we get down to a point then, with your time in the industry, what would you have done differently?
I would have, as I said, I would have worked more closely with the organizations like CAA, ESX, and so forth. But I also probably would have spent more time with the technology, because coming from a management point of view, I was always applications oriented. And I think there's a great value there, because speeds and feeds aren't really what get the job done for a client. It's the application and understanding and being able to use your expertise and your resources to meet those needs. But I probably would have been served better by being a little bit more knowledgeable about the industry itself in terms of the technology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where might you see the industry going then?
Well, I think the industry is going very heavily toward managed services, cloud services, and remote services, which I'm a huge fan. I think that the ability, and it really came down when cloud services first emerged a decade plus ago, people were reticent to join because it was the cloud and no one was really sure about it. But the iPhone changed our entire industry. Remote video, the cloud, everything, and the remote services. So I see that continuing. I want to see more interoperability and more integration on common platforms, which has become, for a good long decade, it was just running debate on how to do it. And all of a sudden, it's like the next 5 years, we've made quantum leaps in that world. So that's very encouraging, and I'd like to see that continue. As far as the resi side, I think that's going to continue to be more of the Wild West until it figures out what it's going to be. I don't do a lot in that world, but as far as the resi side goes, I think it's still up for grabs. I really do.
Well, you obviously are enjoying what you're doing.
Yeah.
So your long-range future plans, you're going to continue to do as you're doing? And
absolutely. And one other answer to the other question, I would probably have looked more and earlier at acquisitions. Okay. We did a lot of acquisitions when I was with PSI, and we were so comfortable growing organically with AST that we didn't want to distract ourselves. Mm-hmm. But we're now starting to get back into that, and I see great value there.
Sure.
So the next 10 years for me is about what I've got on the radar, and that'll make me 47 by the time I retire. I'm not going to tell you how. But that'll be past Social Security, let me put it that way.
Yeah.
But I'm having fun. And look, what am I going to do if I retire? And I would love to stay involved, as a consultant or whatever. But running a business in this industry is a blessing, and I'm not in any hurry to give it up. I do want to continue to grow organically, and we really are enjoying a nice season of growth, thanks to the technology and the applications that are available now for strategic alliances and strategic solutions. Strategic is a word that's not used enough in our industry. That's back to the original question. Strategy is missing. Mm-hmm. It's not reactive. It's strategic. That's where we need to be. And I enjoy that. So I want to continue to grow organically, but I'd also like to layer on some acquisitions, and then maybe in 10 years, 10, 12 years, sell and
so you would
work with other people. Yeah,
you would prefer to sell.
I would prefer to sell, but I would like to work with other people in the industry, maybe offer them a few things they hadn't thought of. Mm-hmm. Because I've made just about every mistake there is to make, so, as we all have.
So your final thoughts, is there anything that you can tell us? I mean, you've given us a lot of background, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, this is awesome. It really is, Bob.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I would leave it with considering the audience that this is a great industry. And the only thing that limits us is our own imagination, our own strategic understanding, and our own level of effort. And the people that I know in the industry are capable of all three of those things. We just have to keep expecting and demanding more of ourselves and one another. And this is a great platform to bring that kind of concept and that kind of idea together.
Yeah,
Bob, we really appreciate the time you spent with us.
that's awesome,
today.
Bob. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. I really enjoyed it.
appreciate it.
I love, it's great. It's an honor to really sit down and talk to guys that have basically been there and done it all. And it's I'm getting up there, but it's still exciting to be able to be to listen to you guys talk. I always learn. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
Thank you for joining us.